Hey Chris, coming from me. It's coming from Sydney, New South Wales, talking to you about days. It's saying 11 of April 2016. So I'm talking today about Anglicans manipulating social situations to attain their own and the ends that they desire to serve their own agendas. Um, Yesterday I talked about um, a guy named Stinkbog, and I talked about how I had a little interaction with him, how he asserted himself in an aggressive way to try and show dominance, and also to try and initiate me and engage me into an interaction with him that would be negative. He wanted to bully me into an argument where he could start yelling and instigate me into yelling, or initiate or try to push me into a position of servitude and submission and shame, which would then get inside my head and cause conflict and hopefully lead to aggression, which is what Anglicans do. Anglicans and people like Stinkbog, they work on people's psychology, and they try to manipulate people's psychology to get them to do what they want, which is kind of like which is psychological terrorism. And they influence people and they motivate people to behave in a certain way that serves their own agenda, the Anglican agenda. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So just to recap about the video yesterday, I walked out, Stinkbog followed me, as often is the case. Well, it's coincidence, sure. I walks behind our car while I'm working on the car, getting it ready, and I chuckle because of the coincidence that he just happens to appear. I go out once during the day, and there he is. And then I go out 4 hours later, and there he is. Happens all the time. So he walked down to the mailboxes, and I went and checked the mailbox to see if it was still locked, if everything was secure, with the appearance of security. Because nothing here is secure. So it's just something that I've learned since I've been in Australia, and something that I've learned since I've been here at 126 Croydon. So he started walking back into the building, and I walked in behind him, and as he turned, I saw his glasses, and they looked like they were spy glasses. It looked like they had like a little box on the arm, and I thought that was funny, so I said, "Nice glasses," and I walked about 10 paces, and he got really angry. He must have been thinking in his head something, because it took a minute for him to respond, but his response was one of aggression and one of challenge. What'd you say? And then I kept walking more, and then he yelled even louder, "What'd you say?" In a way that a bully or someone who thinks he's superior would say it to somebody that they disrespect, have contempt for, or feel is inferior to themselves. I just kept walking. But what is important is that it shows that some people here can act in a certain way because of social perception. If I had did what he did, people would have said, it would have worked toward their agenda, and they would have said, "Look at, he's psycho. Look at, he got so angry for no reason. All that the other person said was nice glasses, but look at how angry he got. Oh my gosh, he's unstable." See, but Stinkbog says it. Stinkbog acts that way, and it's fine. No questions are asked, because he's got an alliance with the Anglican Church, and he serves a purpose. What's that purpose? Well, I think, like I said in the video yesterday, I think he walks two worlds. I think he has the nightlife, and he hooks up with the nightlife creatures of the night. Drug dealing, illegal activity, maybe. Who knows? Maybe not. But I've seen some people that he hangs out with, and I think they're involved in the criminal events and criminal affairs. I think that he's also involved with the Anglicans, and given the situation, I think that he passes information from the dark like the dark aspect of nightlife or the criminal life, and I think he gets information with his feelers. He sends his feelers out there and he gets information, then he passes it on to the Anglicans, and the Anglicans pass it on to the cops. The cops look good, the Anglicans look good, and the Anglicans increase their market share, if you know what I mean. Their market share. They push out the competition. They push out the bad guys so that they can make money themselves. So anyways, like, why do I think that? Well, for example, why do I think Stinkbog has a double life? Well, for example, I was on the street, and one day taking a walk, and he was driving down, and I noticed behind me was his girlfriend's kid, and his girlfriend's kid was with his girlfriend, and there was another couple there. So 4 young people under 24, 24 and under, I think, young people. I knew that he was gonna keep driving and pick them up, so he drove, but he didn't. I knew that they were waiting on the sidewalk to get picked up, and he showed up. He stopped right beside them, but he never picked them up. He drove down, and they wanted to get in the car, but then he stopped them from getting in the car, and I'm thinking that he told them, go down the street and I'll pick you up there, because he drove down. He turned. The youths, the young people followed and went in the same direction he did, and then everybody disappeared. So why didn't he want to pick up the kids? Well, I'm not saying no. I've known people that use young people to sling on the street, and if that's what he is doing, using his youngsters to sling on the street so that he doesn't get in trouble himself, then that's pretty crooked. And I know that he deals with people that look like they're involved in criminal activity, and so it seems like it's pretty apparent to me. I've been told that he has done some bad things and he's got a bad history, and yet here he is with the Anglicans, and it seems like everybody's licking his butt and he gets along really well with them. So it wouldn't be known unless I was given the opportunity to investigate it, and since I can't, it's all just looking at evidence that I've seen and try theory. It's just theoretical, but it makes sense to me. My phone's getting really hot, so I think like Stinkbog is hooked into it again. So he got angry, tried to engage me in aggressive behavior, and I just walked away. So I knew that he would bring this up with the Anglicans, and I knew it would be discussed. So today I was looking or waiting for something to happen, and hoping that it wouldn't, but expecting that it would. And today my partner went to do some groceries, to do some things. So I got the car ready, partner left. It was fine. Nothing uncomfortable happened. The partner gave me sent a text later on in the afternoon saying that they were gonna return, that she was gonna return. She returned back home, and guess who's there? Stinkbog is sitting in his car. And I know that they monitor our texts, so they would know when she's coming home, or they would know when I'm leaving. So there's Stinkbog, but also besides Stinkbog, also there's another guy, Grot. He's at his car and he's looking at me like this, and he notices me, and it's not just like, oh yeah. He notices me and he's watching me. He's watching me for my reaction. It's almost like he's hoping for a reaction. And his wife is there. And I said to my partner, I said, look at this guy over there, 2 over there. And then I turned around, and Unifor's wife was walking out with her phone pointed at us. And I says, and look, she's got her phone pointed at us. So we walked down to back to our unit, and I saw that two doors were wide open, perfect to hear conversation or hear something that's going on. And I step into my unit, and just as I step into my unit, who walks by? Fulfully walks by. That's how he walks. He kind of bounces and tries to disarm you with this goofy grin on his face. But if you've ever seen his wicked look, it's like this. So he's got this, and then he's got the other side of him that's really evil and freaking psychotic. I mean, everybody has a look. I mean, I look psychotic too sometimes, but you can see in people's eyes if they're not nice. You can see in people's eyes if they're genuinely bad people, and you can see it in his eye. It's a switch. It's like it goes. It's amazing. I've seen it. Like I've seen video where I've seen him and I've seen his eyes like, and all of a sudden, it's insane. Like within a split second. So, anyways, he walks into his unit, and I took advantage of it, and I mumbled something inaudibly, and he's a coward, so he won't say anything face to face with me. So he closes his door like this, and just before the door closes, he interjects through the open door, or he spits out, "What's that?" Well, I'm thinking that he's, talking to me about my inaudible mumbling. So I took the opportunity. So I said, "What?" I said, "It's not enough that you break into our computers." And I said it loud enough for the guy in Unit 4 and the guy in Unit 3 with their open doors to hear me. And implying in my statement that it's not enough that you break into our computers, break into our home, that you harass us, that you set up these little games that you're playing right now, that you're constantly following me around and trying to engage me in, behavior that you can use against me that will, implicate where I will look bad, where I'll get myself in trouble with angry words or angry actions. But then on top of it all, you've got to pull these little games like this, these little stunts. And I said it loud enough for the guy in beside us to hear. So he is supposed to be this guy from Wollongong, from this big cathedral. I think if it's the same person that I'm thinking of, it may not be, but I'm not sure. If it's the same person I'm thinking of, he's from Wollongong, he's from a big cathedral, so he knows people and he's worked there before. Now, if he's worked there before, and if he's innocent, if he knows nothing about all these crimes that have been committed, if everybody's just pulling the wool over his eyes and just using him, then he knows for a fact now, because I said it loud enough for him to hear. Now, if he was a good person, and if he had a conscience, then he would go to Fulfley and he'd say, "What's this? What did he say about breaking into his computer?" He would find out the truth. And if he was a good person, he would go back to his boss in his old job and he'd be like, "Look, there's kind of a problem here at Moore Theological Bible College, and I think there's a little bit of wickedness going on." If he doesn't do nothing, then that means that he's involved. That it was all, he knows about the computer crimes. He knew I would say that. He knew that I would engage and discuss the computer crimes and accuse Fulfley of doing it. So he's in on it all along. So that means that he's here to assist McFulfley, and that he's here to try to entrap us in behavior that will make us look bad. That they can use against us and say that you are not welcome here, that you don't fit in to this group of people, to this building, and we want you gone. So in the end, the situation kind of worked out for my benefit, but it's still really unfortunate that it's not unfortunate, it's something else. What is it? These people claim to be Christians, and yet they go through every single day conniving and conspiring, manipulating, criminal activity. Every single day they're monitoring our phones, monitoring our computer activity, listening to conversations, trying to gather information, and it's not right. I don't care if Premier Barrett wants a criminal task force on computers. They have no right to monitor our computers. They could do all this practice work in a laboratory situation. They don't have to go into the real world and assault and harass and invade the lives of innocent people. So that is what happened today, is just another example of how the Anglican Church manipulates people around them, and how the Anglican Church members manipulate people around them to get what they want. And they use these same tactics on the like global scale. So they'll use these same tactics against larger communities. And they'll use these same tactics that they use against us, against larger communities: manipulation, social engineering, economic situations, economic control, economic sanctions, political games, and on and on and on. So I think I hope that people realize this and stop giving money to them. I hope that people realize this and stop being enslaved to their psychological games and manipulations, and that people find peace within their own lives and within their own hearts and within their own individual relationship with God, if you believe in God. And if you don't believe in God, within just existing, that people stop allowing these people to manipulate and use numbers of churchgoers to influence political and social engineering and policy to suit their own economic gain. It's not right to use church as mob mentality, and it's wrong that these people are committing crimes when they're supposed to be, religious. And it's wrong to stand behind religion and say that and use that as a badge of trust when you yourself are just a psychotic criminal.